All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardinellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And we're gonna get going today talking about the Jimmy Kimmel appearance that Andrew Yang had last night. The Yang gang is a house divided when it comes to their thoughts, their opinions, and their concerns, their excitement over this appearance on the Jimmy Kimmel show. So whether you thought it was good or bad, we're going to analyze. Cody, tell us what's going on.
So those of you guys who were unaware, Andrew Yang did appear on Jimmy Kimmel last night. He was on for about 10 minutes, came on after Laura Dern. I believe, actually, if I remember correctly, Laura Dern's son, or Laura Dern mentioned her son was interested in Andrew Yang. So
hey.
Something along those lines. Now, anyway, what I actually want to talk about here is, and there's an article that was very interesting, because the actual thing, I could show clips, NBC does, or ABC doesn't typically like you showing late night show clips because they protect those. But the interview with Jimmy Kimmel and Andrew Yang wasn't totally out of character. It was the typical kind of dismissive, jerky, late night host appearance from Jimmy Kimmel. However, there was a few things that were said that I think... I'll go through.
Got some booze?
There's a good way to put it. Because again, Daily Beast just actually happened to be interviewing him. I believe it was Matt Wilstein, the senior writer. He just happened to be backstage at Kimmel that night, and he was going to interview Yang after the Kimmel appearance. Now, I talk about his major beef with MSNBC in the headline, but we'll go through, and he mentions how 30 minutes before, the Yang gang and Yang roll up to the theater, yada, yada. They go through, we talk about all this stuff. Where it gets really interesting is when it comes down here. So, it says, Kimmel seemed to be a bit dubious of Yang from the moment he sat down. The host cracked jokes about robots coming to take our jobs and wondered why a non-politician believes he can become the 46th president of the United States. Why go right for president? Why not start with senator or representative, Kimmel said. Yang argued automation's happening too fast for him to wait. Robot trucks may be on our highways in 5 to 10 years. And I thought biding my time trying to climb the ranks. We just didn't have that kind of time. Now, in the middle of it, like I said, a lot of people, and we'll get into kind of the reaction in a minute. A lot of people thought Kimmel was a bit rude and dismissive. He kind of always is. But he was actually rude and dismissive and kind of, I don't know if hostile is the word, but it was.
Well, I don't know if I'd say rude, but I think dismissive. Rude would have been interrupting him, calling him names. I think rude is a little bit of a stretch, but he definitely did use a lot of very dismissive humor in order to, put Yang in his place.
Again, this isn't Rachel Maddow, this is Jimmy Kimmel on the Late Show. It's not a big deal. But exactly. I thought it was really interesting how he ended, because this is what got a lot of people upset specifically. There was a couple things he said during it where I was just kind of like, dang, that's kind of uncalled for and mean. Yeah. But anyway, he ended the interview by saying, I think you have some very interesting ideas. I don't think you're going to be president, but who knows?
That was wild.
What they don't mention here is he says, I don't think you're going to be president. Pause. Boos from the crowd. But who knows? Maybe you will.
Yeah, it was such a walk back.
I didn't think Trump was going to be president either. And I think Yang actually mentions that. So that was one thing. Now, before I get into a little bit of the reaction, a little bit deeper into some of the stuff that they were said, I want to get in really quickly. Because the interesting thing about having this reporter backstage, we actually got Yang's kind of initial reaction to the interview. So the interviewer goes on and says, it wasn't exactly how Yang wanted the interview to end, but at least it was over. I feel great now, Yang tells me in his dressing room.
I did my lift for the day.
I've done my lift of the day. A national late night TV interview. Yang seems to be tired and a bit distracted during a conversation as he watches the musical guest. He perks up when he sees a supporter wearing a Yang 2020 shirt in the crowd. So it's good. He notices, guys. He does notice. Asked if you think Kimmel is a bit dismissive in his final comments, Yang tells me, I didn't think much of it. Right now, statistically, he's correct, though I think he's underestimating our chances. The candidate, Yang, would go on to cite betting markets like PredictIt, which currently places him at an 8% chance of becoming the Democratic nominee. Right behind new entrant Michael Bloomberg at 11. Dang, money's coming in on Bloomberg over Yang. I didn't even know that. Check this more often.
Yeah, that was rough.
Anyway, Yang says, that strikes me as the most accurate predictor you could find. And if you think about sporting outcomes, how often do 5 to 10% outcomes happen in sports? All the time. He is correct. So Jimmy can be right that I'm unlikely to be president, but it can also be right that I have a far higher chance than almost anyone else, and far unlikelier things have happened. Both correct. And then he goes on to talk more about MSNBC and what MSNBC's been doing and the Yang gang tweeting stuff. So interesting stuff. He goes on and keeps talking. When I ask Yang why I didn't bring the wars to MSNBC, so it mainly gets into MSNBC after this. However, I thought this was funny. Why Yang didn't bring up his war in MSNBC to Kimmel's audience? He says, I was happy to talk about it if it came up, but it didn't come up, and I could see why he wouldn't want to bring it up. I do wonder a little bit if there's a sense of Jimmy Kimmel's like... A little aside, me and Card know a guy is a comedian, and he used to dress up like a reporter and go do spoof interviews as a reporter. And he noticed when people called him out for being a fake reporter, all the other reporters in the area would defend him because he's like one of them.
Yeah.
I wonder how much it was like with Jimmy Kimmel, where he's like, hey, you know what? MSNBC is one of us, okay? They're one of the
I
big
was
media.
amazed.
You don't come for them. Now, you notice CNN was like, CNN's all ears. Hey, come on, CNN. Tell us why MSNBC's awful. Maybe ABC's a little different. I'm not going to get into conspiracy.
Well,
there.
they're
I'm just
always
saying,
willing to
perhaps.
compete. But I was even amazed when Jim Acosta's press pass was revoked from the White House. Do you remember how many Fox News guys were like, "Oh, this is an assault on the press"? And it's like, no, shut up. He was just being rude, and he was disciplined. All right, this isn't an assault on the press. It's not like Obama who actually sent the CIA.
It's almost
after,
like everything can't be
members of the
viewed
press
through the
corps.
lens of partisan hackery, because sometimes,
Well, no, but I was amazed at how many people were just like, the press sticks together.
of course they do.
Of
course they do.
But it was more so that
Politicians stick together.
I don't know.
Waiters stick together.
Yeah.
Policemen stick together.
Yeah, I know, but I think that I think
Teamsters stick together. Like it's a thing, man. When you're part of a group and a profession and a community, you stick with your community. It's a real thing, and it's like I think what we're seeing a little bit of that was here. Because again, I want to just get back really quickly because the next thing I want to highlight.
Okay.
There was a little bit of, cause I saw some people specifically on Reddit talking about the Andrew Yang's appearance on Jimmy Kimmel. And I saw a lot of people in the comments because when I first watched it, like I said, I was like, it's your typical kind of Jimmy Kimmel dismissive, you're dumb, you're an idiot, what do you know kind of interview.
Yeah.
But I was going through some Reddit comments, and again, Reddit comments aren't be all end all, but a lot of people were pretty happy with it. I think Jimmy was usual self. I don't know what the fuss was about. Yang did great. Keep it cool, Yang gang. Chill out. Only critique is he didn't mention examples of other jobs being automated away. I thought it was great. Andrew was fantastic. Jimmy asked good, easy questions, and he was able to get his policies across. So I do want to highlight here that it's not like everyone's freaking out, because something came across my Twitter feed I thought was interesting, and that was a message also posted on Reddit, and it says, "Do not harass Jimmy Kimmel." Word just came back, and this is from before the interview even aired. People are like, I don't know. I think it's because the Yang gang has got so mobilized online. Now, this gets to a second discussion.
And the MSNBC thing has kind of spurred a more combative side to them.
And they mentioned it. Like, MSNBC's been going on for a while. Like, Jimmy Kimmel being dismissive in an interview is what he does. I trust me, I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel's had someone on there running for president he likes more than Yang. He's nicer to. I would not be surprised if that was the case. But again, this isn't Chris Cuomo saying this was a straight news journalistic interview for president. It's the Late Show.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant to be comedy at the expense of the interviewee.
Exactly. He's trying to entertain people who, quite frankly, don't know who Andrew is and probably won't care who he is because that's who watches television, most part. No offense, no flame, people watch television. But the reason I wanted to bring that up, because I wanted to get into, I thought was kind of interesting thing about watching that was, obviously some people were upset, and there were some people who were very, very upset when they saw what happened with Andrew on the thing. But there was a lot of people as well that thought it was a pretty good interview. And one thing I thought was really interesting of the interview that happened, I believe it's down here. Here we go. At one point, and this is what I want to get into where I said it was kind of a little bit weird how Jimmy was handling the interview. At one point, Andrew Yang's talking. He says, he actually says, Jimmy Kimmel, are you afraid that the Silicon Valley people are going to kill you? I think he says that actually.
Oh, no, they're going to come for you.
He starts like I guess take you out, like assassinate you. And then he goes, they're going to come for you. But one thing that's interesting is Andrew replies and says, well, no, because I have a lot like people endorsing me. Elon Musk, he mentions a few other people, and Jimmy Kimmel's like, well, is Elon Musk even an American? Even Andrew didn't push back. Someone corrected us in our comments on this. I just want to point out, Elon Musk's an American citizen for 17 years. 2002 he became an American citizen. So I thought it was funny that neither Kimmel nor Yang seemed to know off the top of their head at the moment that because I always get in trouble with that too, where, for example, the only people I just know they're technically from Canada. So I'll be like, I know they're popular in America, but I assume that maybe they just haven't become a citizen yet because they're still Canadian. And every single time it's like, trust me, if you're wealthy and live in America, it's crazy how easy it is to become an American citizen when you're really rich. It really is. It's almost like, which at the same time, you show up to any country and say, hey, I'm really rich. Can I be a citizen? They always say yes. You'll pay taxes, right? So, I mean, I can't blame the government for saying, oh, you're going to pay taxes? Cool. Yeah, you can be a citizen. But it is worth noting that, both Yang and I thought it was funny Yang didn't push back and go, well, actually, Elon Musk's been an American citizen since anyone in America knew who he was. So,
true.
I mean, I wasn't very old at the time, but I don't think anyone in 1999 was like, "This Elon Musk guy really is." I mean, I don't know how old Elon even was.
I don't know if I'm going to use PayPal if he's not an American citizen.
Exactly. But
I renounce PayPal.
I did think it was worth noting that there does seem to be something going on now in the Yang gang a little bit. I thought the reason I wanted to highlight this too a little, this specific Reddit post is because there is this. I think this is basically what they're kind of saying in here. And they say it right here. We're all hyped up on boycott MSNBC. So there are some people who want to lash out at every person who disrespects us. The situation is different. Kimmel has a right to his opinion. And the way we prove him wrong is at the ballot box. We must resist the urge to become a mob at every slight. So I wanted to highlight because there is definitely this excitement to when you, I mean, MSNBC is legitimately feeling this hit. They have this heat. They have people lying to journalists to publish fake news about what's going on because they are feeling the heat between Andrew Yang calling out MSNBC. I definitely do it. And again, I wanted to highlight again the actual response because the response isn't pitchforks and torches and let's burn them down. A lot of it is, I thought it was actually a good interview.
That's a bad coping mechanism.
No, but a lot of people even said, I think it was good. I thought Jimmy asked some questions he was able to answer. Yeah. And they are right about that. Yang did get to talk about what he wanted to talk about because of it. So I just wanted to highlight, there's a little bit of division here, but for the most part, with it being at times seemingly hostile, mostly it's kind of dismissive late night interview.
It was like,
I will say one thing, to throw my hat in the late night debate. I don't think he would have got that kind of treatment from Fallon. I think he's actually been on Fallon. He didn't get that kind of treatment from him because Jimmy Fallon's a good dude. Maybe an alcoholic, but a good dude. So I'm not saying he is or isn't. I've heard he is. I've read articles saying he is. I don't want to say he is or isn't, but he seems like a good dude. Jimmy Kimmel has been I posted this on...
You know Jimmy Fallon was one of my... oh, wait, no, I can't say.
No, but I posted this on Twitter earlier. If you guys haven't seen this video, I'm going to play it without any sound. Back when Jimmy Kimmel was in The Man Show, he did a bit where he went out and he got people to sign a petition to end women's suffrage. That's the kind of comedian Jimmy Kimmel is, so I'm not really too concerned when he's kind of a jerk to Andrew Yang. His whole thing is I'm kind of a jerk, but I seem reasonable, but I'm a jerk. It's kind of his shtick, so I'm not too surprised by it.
Well, also, it's the Yang Gang trend's very young. It's one of the things that we absolutely love about the Yang Gang. That enthusiasm, that energy, the creativity online, the memes, all of that, wouldn't trade it for the world. At the same time, one of the things that comes with age is an ability to temper that enthusiasm with understanding, and instead of rejecting negative criticism, accepting it and learning from it. Now, Jimmy Kimmel's dismissiveness, honestly, where's it coming from, Cody? It's coming from the fact that a lot of people haven't heard of Andrew Yang, and it's easy to be dismissive of the fact of somebody you haven't heard from.
I wouldn't be entirely dismissive of the point that Andrew Yang did come for, the media, and maybe Jimmy considers himself a part of that kind of media establishment, and he's like, why is Andrew coming for us? Does that make sense?
That could be. I'm not saying that's off the table. I don't necessarily have that same sense, but it's a possibility.
Could, and I'm not saying it is either.
Yeah, it's a possibility. But at the end of the day, you can't be, that's not something you could say about some of the other candidates with higher name recognition. And judging by how a comedian treats you, you can immediately understand what some of your weaknesses are. In fact, I thoroughly believe that the way a comedian makes fun of you is one of the most, tried and true analysis of your candidacies, strong points and weak points. It is a solid roasting. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that's what he got. Okay. But at the end of the day, we used to listen to politicians and laugh at comedians, but now we need to do a better job of listening to comedians and then laughing at the politicians.
But I think a lot of people, like I said, going through Reddit, they seem to have done that. They said, Kimmel was kind of a jerk, but he's always kind of a jerk, so whatever. I thought Andrew did good.
Yeah, so there's that half that I kind of agree with. I don't think it was a bad interview. I'll tell you right now, I thought it was just Kimmel doing his kind of style and Andrew Yang. It was a little staccato, to be honest with you. I thought it was very like, okay, Jimmy, ask me a question. I'll give you a short answer. It took a little while for it to start feeling natural. I very much liked Andrew Yang's opening where he said, "Oh, don't call me that." I thought that Andrew Yang did a great job of not being a boring and passive politician. So I actually think it was great. I would have given it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
I would have given it an 8 out of 10. I don't think it hurt anybody. I don't think it necessarily helped anybody. And I think it was great to see Jimmy Kimmel walk back his "I don't think you'll be president" because of the boos that he had in the audience.
That was really funny. Yeah.
And what happened to Jimmy Kimmel, I think, is very demonstrative of what's going to be happening to more and more people in their ivory towers. MSNBC thought that they were sitting in an ivory tower, that they had the blessing of the establishment, and they were still the ones that were choosing who wins and who loses, until Andrew Yang said, "Enough, we don't need you." And all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait a second. Oh, wait, but we actually do need you. We won't get views if you're not on our show. And his rebellion against MSNBC is a prototype for what more people, whether they're celebrities or politicians or whoever, need to be doing against the media establishment, because the media has been spoiled into thinking they're entitled to our attention. When in reality, in the modern media sphere, nobody is entitled. You can always go elsewhere to get your information. So MSNBC got a swift kick in the pants from Andrew Yang, and it looks like Andrew Yang's going to win that battle. I think Jimmy Kimmel getting booed by his own audience that is used to being on his turf.
I think it was the Yang gang.
It was obviously the Yang gang. But Jimmy Kimmel enjoys the fact that, hey, there's a producer whose sole job is to have 2 assistant producers that interview everybody waiting in line to see who's going to be enthusiastic and cheer. Have you ever been on these shows, Cody? Ever gone on the audience?
Yeah, they take your cell phone away. Or then they don't take it away. They make you not bring it, or else you have to go to your car and put it away. That happened to me twice.
Yeah, exactly. And you've gone through the process. Like at Ellen, there's 7 producers that are just in charge of combing through audience.
But a lot of people are financially interested in the success of Ellen.
So it's the bigger the show, the more producers are there making sure that this audience is going to be an enthusiastic audience. So when Jimmy says his jokes, everybody's laughing. Okay. So I think Jimmy is usually very used to always playing on a home field. And all of a sudden, whoa, there's somebody that didn't like something I said. Holy smoke. That was a swift kick in the pants that I think more media people are going to be getting as Andrew Yang gets larger.
Yeah. Or at the same time, it was the other angle of it's just Jimmy was just kind of ending with the joke of like, I don't think you'll win. And he'll booed, and he was like, I don't really care about that opinion anyway. So I'll walk it back. You know what I mean? that happens a lot. People are like, oh,
I'm not committed. I'm not committed to this.
Someone will just be like bloviating, like a comedian who just says stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you walked it back." It's like, yeah, because I didn't even mean it. I just said it because I thought it would get a laugh. You know what I mean? I think that's what we saw here with that. But I don't want to spend forever. The only reason why I thought it was interesting talking about this specific appearance, because one, we got to get Yang's actual immediate reaction to an interview, which is interesting. Yang's done Instagram lives and stuff after the fact, but I don't know. It is kind of interesting to see what his initial takeaways were after the interview. 1, and then 2, I did see some kind of a little bit of divided. There were some people that were very upset, but it did seem overwhelmingly like the Yang gang was more like, it's Jimmy Kimmel, it's what he does. So I just thought it was worth noting there was some initial people who were very upset that it happened, but overall, it seems to most people have agreed to be a pretty good interview for Jimmy. A good interview for Yang. Jimmy was just being Jimmy. But I thought it was funny I thought it was not funny, but it was worth talking about exactly kind of what they were talking about. Why, if you heard it was a bad interview, why people thought it was bad. If you heard it wasn't bad, why people didn't think it was bad. And I did think it was funny when Jimmy Kimmel, when Andrew Yang said, I'm not a politician, he said, well, if you're someone who juggles, should be a juggler, right? If you're running for president, that'd make you a politician, right? Yeah. I thought that was kind of funny. So I thought that was,
if you did magic, you're a magician, good. Right? Yeah. I think that's exactly what he said. Yeah. Other than that, I think we're good, my man.
Oh, one last thing. I didn't know about this. There's no calendar. I guess we're not Facebook friends. But shout out to our good friend, Paget KG. It is her birthday today. So shout out, Paget. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Paget.
Enjoy your 22nd birthday. Hope you have a lot of fun. And that is all, man. That's all I got for today.
All right. This is Problem Solver Politics. See you in the next video.